Alright. Добро пожаловать назад, SCWRM squad. Давай действия.
Very
Thanks, Google Translate.
very excellent, comrade. Seriously, now I'm better at imitating a Russian accent when I really could have used that during our Ace Attorney of Politics.
Oh, that was Russian.
Supposedly.
Well, that Gorasni is basically the Russia of Sarah. So
Yeah. Apparently, I did some homeworks and actually, curious around the wiki while between parts. Apparently, the reason why there aren't many Gorasni left is because after E-Day, the locals pretty much exterminated most of them. And since they were already, majorly defeated by the Pendulum War, that's why there aren't many roaming around, and Petrov is only one of the remaining left.
all right.
What is this, Counter-Strike?
No crap, enemy spotted.
All right. So once again, these fuckers with shields are
It was only recently.
Usually what I do with
finally
these
found
guys-
out the origin of that meme.
Usually what I do with these guys is I shoot their feet because somehow shooting their feet still kills them.
Well, I mean, if they're leaking blood from it, they'll eventually die.
I guess, Jovago, a more ideal strategy would have, to implement in gameplay would have been, yes, shoot the feet, but if they fall down, you actually have to get closer and actually finish them off with the Lancer,
So sort of like zombies in Resident Evil, the remakes,
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
Suppose.
Boom shield, but I don't know.
Does this a quick question, Pedro? Does this world have its own version of French?
I'm not...
So, maybe in the comics. I don't know.
No, checking from the site, but from the source file material in general, it suggests that the whatever nations they have been with, at the point of the Pendulum Wars and the E-Day, there were only two majors. One, the one that controls the cogs, the gears, and the Gorasni, essentially. Imagine essentially a world where all the nations are united either between the United States or the Soviet Union.
And the United States won, apparently.
And apparently a bunch of ugly aliens showed up in the middle of Russia.
Pretty much.
So shit up.
All over the coming. I live
basically, I try to stay in French. It sucks to be French.
So, all right.
I am thinking of taking a French language course. So hopefully, if I get one of those. And
I don't think I've explained that. The Onyx ammo cache crate, which is a green crate that's exclusive to this game, they never returned in 4 and 5. Literally refuels all your ammo, regardless of what weapon you have, how much ammo you.
It's the backpack from
Quantum Break.
Yeah.
Don't worry, T. I keep forgetting about that game.
I was gonna tell you its name, but I wanted to see if you could get it eventually.
Alright, one more section ended.
Wait, you have to press a button to manually end the level? That's weird.
And it's the D-pad, the whole thing.
No,
not the cheap!
Remember, Gibbs, there's collectibles to catch. So my guess is they give you an opportunity to explore just to make sure they didn't miss any collectibles.
Did you really have to push that
imagine if the mission was on a time limit or something, and you just get to the end of like 1 millisecond, but because you don't press the button, you fail the mission.
Thankfully, we're not playing Dead Rising.
Fortunately, there's only timers when you're waiting for the next wave in the RTS segments. So.
Declassify.
Astro Lucas will attack from behind. Yeah, no thanks.
Why do you keep in the tribunal? The guy asks, excuse me, but why do you keep declining the missions? Surely they could be of help to your allies.
I guess technically tribunal-wise, this would be them not amending their testimony, whereas taking the challenges would have them amending their testimony. So I guess we can consider as them trying to just keep their stories as straight as possible.
basically,
how do we know this isn't even like a kangaroo course?
well, think of it in an Ace Attorney terms. Think of it the extra mission like an extra line of dialogue in a testimony that adds something, but it's not vital to the testimony itself. It adds a detail, technically, it makes you understand better the situation, but there are other pressing matters that you need to, press or object to, compared to that.
His home security
Oh.
system. There's no way we'll get
Interesting
past it.
transition. We're in the middle of the
There's another entrance not too far from here.
Okay.
Entrance, you might
Did
say.
we need
Friends,
the shot of that building?
What? People brought whores all night, and you.
Also, Paduk, what is up with your neck? Like, your neck is
Oh, God,
in a way
yeah.
that necks should not be allowed to.
Seriously,
I'm pretty
his
sure,
neck.
Theo, I'm pretty sure he just
in-
broke his neck.
In Soviet Gorasnaya, neck breaks you.
It's
I
not.
guess.
It's not so much him breaking his neck, but that's a very bad angle to have it at. That he could risk breaking it if he
Yeah, it's
tilts
like
it
the noble
anymore.
engineer.
Maybe Paduk is secretly a contortionist. I don't know.
In Soviet
that'd be
Russia,
really-
we do the contortionist way.
God knows these characters need some kind of traits to make them identifiable. I mean, so far his only identifiable trait is his mock Russian accent.
Well, he also has the scars given by the by the hammer of dawn explosion.
The light mass missile, or the hammer missile. You wanna know how I got these scars?
No.
No. Well, no, dude. The term is yeah.
Yeah.
Jova, I want to learn French, not Russian. Say it in French.
Cute.
All right.
Why do we have to shoot at these barriers?
Oh, that's because, Theo, those are the barriers that I myself can also put up in the RTS segment. So the enemies, so the locusts also themselves we're right now invading an RTS locust drone.
Okay, but I don't get it. Like, you have to shoot them down.
Well,
Like,
Theo, if I don't, they hurt me when I go.
no.
by.
But the solution, in putting them away is to shoot them. Like, I'm pretty sure there should have been something else. Like, I guess a grenade makes sense because an explosion, blows away stuff. But just shooting at it.
I think I get what Gio means. It's like if per se you had to shoot a fence. You can see the problems with trying to shoot a fence.
I know that what I'm about to say is also technically speaking a Microsoft API, but this is the equivalent. This is kind of the same of when in Age of Empires, your knights with sword smack repeatedly at the castle until they set it to fire. That mechanic worked better by establishing that the entire game kind of runs with that. But Gears at this point, when it comes to the shooting mechanic, is being pretty much grounded. In terms of what's shootable, what not, and how they react to bullets. But here it's a set of spikes that gets destroyed in a very rushed way, in a very unconventional way when you shoot at it. It feels to me like it was a mechanic that was rushed away by the developers.
I don't know. Personally, I don't really mind it much. Like,
I get what Gio means. It's weird.
Keep in mind, I'm not sure what a good alternative would have been in Rebellion because I don't think using the Lancer to hacksaw through them would have been equally effective. So I don't know. Maybe shooting really was the best option.
I guess to put it in terms like this, in an RTS, it makes sense because, the visuals just, somebody attacking against the boundary in an RTS here and there. But in this form of game, it just looks awkward that the way you get rid of something is simply by shooting it, in which case, though, okay, unless you're using something like, a rocket launcher or something, shooting it with bullets doesn't make any sense as to how that would get rid of it, per se. Like, if anything, it would just leave it battered. Granted, it's kind of a nitpick, but again, let me remind you.
Yeah, I agree that it is. Well,
I think the reason Tio brings it up, though, is like, well, Gears of War has mainly been pretty good for paying attention to smaller details like that it feels weird. Like, why not just put up, I don't know, something like a more of a solid barrier? Like, then shooting it would make more sense in that case.
Or, you have to use the Lancer, the saw version of the Lancer, you know, like you did for some of the other barriers.
Yeah. Now, yeah, true. Now the buzzsaw, that would also have made more sense. Again, I mean, it's just weird because Gears of War is usually a game that, well, from what we've seen so far, mind you, always does good to pay mind to even the little details. Like, and you could argue that there's a bit of a ladder to go with that. Like, yeah, small details may not count as much, but when you don't focus on the small details as much, eventually it snowballs into you not focusing on the bigger details. Gears 5.
Like, let me give an example of the mechanic that, you know, instead is perfectly fine while being quote-unquote more arcade than, you know, gameplay is still integrated. The stars, the rating of star systems, you know, whether it's a good implementation or not, I'm not talking about that, you know. It's the fact that it's actually relatively fine. You know, you can also allow to not care, but if you manage to perform well in combat and everything, you know, you manage to have some gratifications anyway.
All right.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Couldn't get into the professor's house until we eliminated those mortar squads. Every mortar squad.
Emphasis on the fact that we have to do every single one of them.
Okay.
Also, for like a fraction of a second, it showed me the load screen. My guess is in the original, when you play this on the 360, there is a slight loading screen. However, since the load times on the Xbox One are shorter, my guess is the game expects the loading screen, but since the load time is faster, it shows up only to immediately leave.
Okay, I hate
Fair
to
enough.
have to ask this, but there's a bit of a narrative issue I've noticed. What is the point of having each of the characters give their testimony if their testimony covers different parts of the story? Now, mind you, here's the thing. Normally, when you have 4 characters giving their testimony over a certain thing like this, in this sort of story structure, oftentimes you see them each give their takes on what happened here and there. But with here, each of them are giving different sections for different parts of the story, ignoring the fact that all 4 of them were there for the whole sequence. So, in that sense, what was the point of going off of Baird's testimony? Like, in theory, you could have technically have had Baird tell the whole story. Like, so far in the story, we've not seen any section that's, you know, exclusive to any character. Now, you could say maybe they had a particular character arc during that segment, except no, like I've said, Katie...
Sophia, you mean...
Damn it. Sophia's character hasn't really evolved any. Again, she's just the rule-following soldier here and there, and she pretty much has stayed like that.
Like Theo said, everybody's against her both in and outside the universe.
I know, right? This guy that we're playing as here, I mean, granted, okay, yes. As someone who has seen other games in action, I know that he does get more character development, but for this particular story in general here, like I said, okay, in over the course of later games, he develops from how he is now, you know, like, you know, he's more hard-headed now.
He's not in 4, and he only shows up as a brief cameo in 5, so I failed to realize how.
I mean, from how he acts in 5, you could say that he has had some character development.
Well, yeah, I guess you can argue that, you know, he does say that, oh, like, your friend Baird, you know, taught me that not every cog is bad, but honestly, that's just like as I would say, that's like the bare minimum.
I'm being overly nice, okay? But like I said, okay.
And I'm quite frankly, considering how this game is mostly bland and the fandom doesn't really care about it that much, if not outright not liking it, I'm surprised they bothered to reference it in future games.
I think it was them just trying to make it a thing.
My guess is Tom Bessel probably has something to do with it, because remember, he co-wrote this game and he's the sole writer of 4 and 5, so...
Is that... And then there's them referencing that DLC campaign of Rom Shadow by showing a picture of Katie.
You mean Alicia?
Damn it! Yeah,
Jova, are you telling us that you can't remember female characters?
No. See, I can remember female characters. What I have trouble remembering...
Why obsession with the name Katie, though?
I don't know why.
Maybe you secretly like her, Jova?
Who's Katie again? Oh yeah, the protagonist
The
from.
protagonist, introducing 4 protagonists, official,
Oh my God.
officially of 5.
Her name is not Katie though, it's Kate. As in K.
That's the same thing.
Katie, what's the difference? You need to stop basing everything on narrow-minded cultural assumptions, Pedro. But I digress. I just realized, Pedro, Laura Bailey sure has some bad luck playing new protagonists in these game series sequels, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does.
Like, let's see, there was.
Well, to be fair, this is nothing new for her. Even back during her early career, she still pushed a lot of crap games. So like, being in crap games is nothing new for her, to be honest.
Yeah.
I know.
Hey, like, I actually do know a game that involves the eternal, unofficial OTP couple, Troy Baker and Laura Bailey. JRPG for the PSP.
Every
Oh,
city in my country now looks like this.
All right.
I go back to my.
If I remember correctly, this is we're already going to finish Paduk's testimony in this part. Yeah, this game is that.
wow.
I go back to my point
Oh,
though.
you think that's Fridge Tail? I finished Cole's testimony in just one part.
Wow.
Damn.
Again, I go back to my main point though. What was the point of having all these people give different bouts of testimony if we don't see?
My guess, Jova, it's an excuse to have us play with all the characters, maybe.
I guess
nice.
that's
You could
nice, but...
Well, I mean, you could employ even the cutting away of scenes in order to not employ the same cutscene over and over, just to show them being told by different points, and say, like Bird finishes the part of a testimony that is in this game.
See, if it wasn't for the continued prompt, I wouldn't be able to get that crate. So basically, that's the point of it, I'm assuming.
Then it cuts to black to the end of a recollection. That's all what happened. Then we're like, all right, next, let's us hear, if your colleague has anything to add, and we go to, Ali Healy's character.
Yeah.
And then so on.
Sophia.
I should remember. It's actually a common name here in my country too. But
I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember these characters' names as well.
It was supposed to be the forgetful one.
Well, you do know that actually, in terms of name, I actually do forget a lot.
Like, here's the thing, though. The characters have not really been that memorable. Alicia's role, may I remind you, was literally just to die so that Jace could eventually join the Gears.
Yeah, seriously, I still don't understand. She can die, but Mutton Chops leaves.
Oh,
Give me
hey!
a break.
Oh, yeah, by the way, as you saw there, Cole has a neat little fisticuff maneuver that he can do. Which is weird. You'd think he would use the Lancer, but
great.
okay.
Great.
Cool. But, like Tia was saying, though, a cool maneuver would have been like, okay, what if, here's an idea, what if, like, per se, Baird is hiding something? So then, of course, the officials go for Ali Hillis' character, Sophia, because she's the more rule-following one, so of course she'll reveal stuff here and there. And then it leads to another part where, okay, only Paduk knows about this particular stuff, and that's why he has to tell this or that here and there. Like,
This could give also a good incentive for a narrative where the team gets split up. So of course only a couple of them will know information for a specific point. But no, surprisingly, unlike in the previous trilogy, the team seems to be staying together all the way through.
and this is another.
Remember, this game was made with shorter development time and a lower budget, so my guess is they couldn't afford to go that ambitious.
I think this goes back to my point, though, about how not paying attention to smaller details can lead to bigger problems. It's in cases like this. Sure, on the one hand, the fact that, they don't really have much reason to each narratively talk about it may seem like a minor detail, but then you come to realize that because of it, not much is done with the characters, actually. They don't really develop in their own segments here and there.
Well, yeah, that's exactly the problem, if you ask me. Like, if this game did a good job in making entertaining us, then we would be a bit more forgiving. But yeah, we're kind of bored, so our attention is drawn to something else.
More like I would probably enjoyed it still if I actually played it, in an arcade way. And that way I can get, which to be fair, due to a lot of the Gears fan base being attached more to the multiplayer, does make sense.
Keep in mind, though, this game fails.
It's just a shame that in terms of actually having to care about story and characters, it is taking a step down compared to the previous trilogy. That's all.
That's the thing, too. Keep in mind, even with the gameplay being good, this game kind of failed financially for Epic Game Studios.
No, I know that, but I guess because it was released closer to the end of the Xbox 360, closer to to Gears of War 3, you know, and with different developers under their helm, which probably discourages someone.
That too, yeah. All I'm saying
Like
is,
again, yes, Epic Games still collaborated with this, but People Can Fly was mostly responsible, and it did reuse the most of their assets.
Alright, I think we're almost done in this section.
overall, it's just like I said before. It's a major shame because we've seen that Gears can really excel at storytelling while mixing that in with gameplay.
I like the music. I will say that. I guess it's exclusive to this section because we're trying to recreate that Russian choir performance, to fit it with Petros.
I guess.
The music is fine.
Yeah.
It's just I'm still waiting for a Gears soundtrack as good as Gears of War 2.
I liked Gears 3's soundtrack as well.
It was good, but not Gears of War 2 is still my personal favorite soundtrack.
Fair enough.
Alright, here you go. The original Gears of War on the 360 sold 5 million units.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, yeah, it was quite a success. Gears of War 2 probably sold more. Oh, the Ultimate Edition. That's not what the Ultimate Edition sold. The Ultimate Edition sold 3.62 million. Well, that's not surprising.
Not bad. I mean,
because
it's a remake still.
remaster, more like remakes. Like
Remaster, yeah.
But remember, it was on the Xbox One, so of course it was going to sell less for a console that a lot of people didn't like.
Yeah.
This was still back in 2015, even so.
Oh yeah.
Let me just see how much the PC version did. That doesn't seem to have it. All right, whatever. Moving on to 2. Gears of War 2.
Just bungalows.
Statistics.
All right, segment over. Let's see what Paduk has to say.
And then we
Sophia
knocked on
took us
gate.
to the professor's secret entrance. We all knew what was up
Secret
with the two
entrance.
of them
By that we
this
mean a giant gate.
Actually, I don't know. Can you specify? No?
Okay.
Alright. Spasiba. Anyway, go on.
Gears of War 2 sold. Oh, hold on. These numbers cannot be correct. Let me see if I can find a difference.
I don't think Elliot's alive.
You can't possibly tell me that both games sold the exact same number of units. That's just.
Come on.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
Maybe it's like how they estimated in counting. I don't know.
You all right?
Hey, his won't be the first body I've seen today.
Let's see.
Oh, here we go. Let's the best selling 360. Let me see what it is. Yeah. Here we go.
Cutscene.
Oh, this source also says the same thing. Huh. Interesting.
Huh, what a coinky dink.
So apparently it really is a coinky thing.
Yeah. Okay, that cutscene was completely necessary.
Inside the mansion,
Well, to be fair, Java, even the original trilogy had this kind of cutscenes where the character just, pull over a fence or something and then they move over it.
I guess
And then he
normally,
reprises it.
I guess normally we at least have them comment over it though.
Well, to be fair, Jova, in this game there are a lot of these where the person who gives the testimony comments on what's going on. This actually was one of the rare occasions where, in this case, Pedro doesn't talk.
I think that scientist should have fought ahead.
I mean,
I guess.
can't imagine him saying, I jumped over a fence.
I guess it's just more
I
noticeable.
used the ramp as a ramp.
I guess to be fair, it's a bit more noticeable here because the story's a lot more bare.
I'm sorry.
I mean,
Okay, because Russia.
I don't mind them doing like a more low-key
Oh my
story.
God! Wait, he was her teacher. Oh my God, we're finally learning something about
He
Sophia.
was married with kids. I moved on.
Oh, wait. So you kind of had a thing for your teacher, but when you found out he was married with kids, you moved on. Okay.
And then the locust happened.
There you go. That's your backstory for Sophia, if you can call it that.
It's
She was
nice.
half the teacher.
It's nice. I guess it could have been developed a bit, to give like a resolution. Maybe like something like she does found a teacher, but is being mutilated by the locust.
Also, maybe it's just how she was directed, but she doesn't sound that too broken
No,
up about
screw
it.
you, game.
Oh, that challenges BS.
The locusts all use one shots, aka the gun that always kills everybody with one shot.
How are you even supposed to surpass that sequence?
Well, it's all about
Take cover, I guess.
making good use of cover.
Actually, yeah, that was a question that I forgot to ask. Like, does the one shot bypass his cover?
No.
No.
Otherwise, it really would be broken.
That would make absolutely no sense if it did.
I don't think it makes any sense for a gun like that in a cover-based shooter to do. Anyway, okay, so according to what I'm seeing here, yeah, like I said, Gears of War 1 and Gears of War 2 each sold 5 million units.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird, like, okay, I guess I'm just going to have to assume that it's true.
If I had to guess, it's more of an estimation than anything.
Or, okay, it's probably them rounding up the numbers,
Yeah.
like, more often than
Most
not.
likely,
they round
okay.
them.
However, Gears of War 3 did not sell as much. It only sold 3 million units.
That may have had to do with the whole Red Ring of Death 360 epidemic, where a lot of 360s were being sold back. Well, not so much sold back, but returned and whatnot. And let's just say a lot of people are kind of dropping 360 as a console due to the Red Ring of Death. So, yeah, that may be the reason why it didn't sell as well. How did Gears Judgment do, I wonder?
I'm about to see. War Judgment. It only sold 1.6 million.
That's a huge drop.
That's a huge
Whoa.
drop, yeah.
And apparently on the first month it only sold 425,000 apparently
So
on
most
the
of
first
its
month.
units got sold like at during the launch period. Which, to be fair, it is to be expected for a game to sell most of its copies at launch and then have a more slow, figure.
Alright, let me see. Let's check Gears 4.
I mean, if Judgment sold like that, I tried to think how much Gears 5 sold.
Well, Gears 4 is actually a main release instead of. I mean, this technically is you can kind of consider this a main, but Gears of War 4 it's a numbered sequel, so I'm assuming it probably sold. I mean, Microsoft still said that the game sold under expectations, but
We need to understand what their under expectations were.
I love how that ticker was...
Okay, it sold 3.38.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense. It's literally a middle point between Judgment and the original trilogy.
Now, how did Gears
of War
5
4,
do?
okay, so Gears of War 4, The Force Awakens of the series, sold 3.38 million. So I don't know how much more. I mean, based on these round estimations, it sold more than 3 apparently.
So basically, Pedro, what you're saying is that Gears 6 is going to be the Locust Queen suddenly appearing out of nowhere as the main villain again.
Most likely, yeah.
But how much did Gears 5 sold? That's the bigger question.
How about this, Dwibs? I'll get back to you on that when we get to Gears 5.
So how much did Gears 5 sell?
Well, we already know that it sold like shit, Joe. That I don't even
Yeah,
check
I'm
the
actually
numbers.
curious. Again, if Judgment sold poorly with like 1.5, I guess 5 didn't even broke the million units.
That's the thing, Teo. I don't even need to check any sources to tell you because remember, I've even talked to people who are in the know. Basically, Teo, Gears of War, because Gears of War 5 because it was at the same time that it was released, Microsoft still had that you can get 3 months of Game Pass just for $1. Most people just took advantage of that, played the campaign, and just dropped it. So basically, Teo, the game sold abysmally. And it quickly dropped from the top 50 most played Xbox One games list because there's actually an official. In fact, let me check while we're at it, because there's actually an official currently most played games on the Xbox One list.
Yeah, it's a bit similar to Steam charts.
and Gears 5 quickly dropped from it altogether quickly. Like the most Microsoft said in terms of its figures was at one point it has 3 million players. 3 million players, not sales. 3 million players. For those of you who are not aware, everybody, in order to be a quote-unquote Gears 5 player, what it means is you're online with your system, you boot up the game once, and there you go. There's one player already counted for that figure. So it's basically them just pulling whatever loopholes they can to have something good to say to the shareholders, basically.
Star
Great.
players include, of course, Halo 5, Sea of Thieves, and the like.
And that's no, Joe. That's probably most likely it.
Yeah, because Microsoft don't have a lot of heavy hitters these days.
Most played Xbox One games, right?
Oh, hey, Cole, you said something.
Here we go. Most played games, right on Microsoft's website, in fact.
Okay.
All right.
That's what it says. Right now, the most played game on the Xbox One is Fortnite.
Of
After that, it's
course.
Call of Duty Warzone, then NBA 2K20, then GTA 5, then Minecraft, Rainbow Six Siege, Apex Legends, Roblox, Destiny 2, Madden NFL 20, Rocket League, Ark Survival Evolved, Red Dead Redemption 2. Sea of Thieves is at number. Well, this doesn't say numbers. Let me count. Okay, it's 4 each. Okay, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Jova, Sea of Thieves is at number 21 on this list.
Wow.
Damn.
So the first.
So if it helps you, Jova, Sea of Thieves is the 21st most played. So 21st most played game on the Xbox.
Right now.
Jesus Christ. So basically, most of the most played stuff on Xbox One is third-party stuff.
That's the thing, Jova. Right now, most of the audience for this game, from what I've heard, is apparently Twitch streamers.
Yeah, which also explains the casual stuff like Roblox.
Like, from what
Yeah.
I've heard, Sea of Thieves has
Basically,
gotten
Jova,
better.
Apparently, Jova, the Sea of Thieves is quite successful and popular on Twitch.
Yeah, it is. A couple of Italian YouTubers that I follow do enjoy regularly doing some regular sessions on the Sea of Thieves.
Yeah,
It
now,
also helps that the updates, helped reinvigorate a bit the interest, and as we discover, they were all free.
I think that's kind of a thing, though. Sea of Thieves has become a game that people would rather watch than play because of, its
Well,
initial-
that's also the thing with Jova. Just doing that gives the game itself publicity.
Which is...
Okay, basically, Jova, Gears 5 right now is on the. Come on, it recently got the Operation Free event.
Yeah.
Sorts, because remember, it has games as a service elements with, weekly events and shit like that. Right now, it's in the last row with only 3 games less played than it. Basically, the only games on this list that have been played less than Gears 5 right now are Need for Speed Heat, Mortal Kombat 10, and WWE 2K20.
Oh,
Huh.
So in Mortal Kombat 10, that game is not 5 years old by this point. So yeah, it's just that not really that much to talk about. It's a 5-year-old
with
game.
MK11 being released anyway, people migrated from that as well.
Let me put this into perspective for you, audience. Gears of War was like the multiplayer king of the Xbox systems back in the day. So
Jesus.
Halo 5 is still in here, so apparently people are playing more Halo 5 than they're playing Gears 5. That's sad.
Halo 5
So
came out
sad.
like 4 years ago.
I guess ironing out the microtransaction and re-implementing the couch co-op actually did call back some players.
there is
Hey,
admittedly that,
everybody.
whereas Gears of War 5 was turned into Microtransaction City.
Basically, everybody, if you want to check for yourself, go to Microsoft.com, most played games Xbox. You should
I'll put the link in the description, why not?
Now, okay. Now,
It's Mortal Kombat 11 is also on here. However, Teo, it's Minecraft Dungeons is right in front of it.
Well, I should expect that.
Now, okay, I'll admit, some interesting gameplay here is stuff like being able to place the Flame Sentinels, as we're seeing. That's a nice, interesting benefit here and there. Okay, that's another nice thing said about this game. Back to the bad.
It's
Sure.
again, it's it says a lot when there's an Xbox 360. So there's an Xbox 360 game here, Skate Free. So yeah, most likely right now people are playing Skate Free because of the recent announcements. Yeah, most likely. Because Skate Free is not. Go ahead.
It says something when something from EA is.
Not just that, Dweebs. Remember, GTA is a game that still manages to rock pretty solid despite being a PS3 and Xbox 360 release. Again, like I mentioned in the PS5 reveal when we talked about it, like the game managed to rock an entire console generation that has in it for its multiplayer content has no sign of stopping right now.
Basically, Skate 3 is part of the Xbox One backwards compatibility program. So there's two Xbox 360 games here: Call of Duty Black Ops 2 and Skate 3.
You know, I don't get it. Why does this feel so boring? This should feel exciting, but it feels so weak.
There
dull, and
even seems to
empty.
be more banter compared to the previous parts.
Well, Java, like we've discussed in part, I think 1 or 2, one of those. Since this game is short, they tend to draw out the series by throwing a shit ton of enemies at you.
I can see that.
Just to extend the playtime as much as they can.
But like Tio mentioned, though, even here, there's more banter, though, so this should be more interesting, but it's not. And I think that's because it goes back to the characters.
Tom Bessler's co-writing this.
It goes back to what we've said about the characters not really being that fleshed out well. Like, sure, okay, essentially when you don't flesh a character out well, you essentially just have a walking and talking prop that wields a gun and may or may not say a one-liner or so. But, you know, if it's not a well enough established character, it's not that funny. Like, hell, even Looney Tunes get this. Like, Looney Tunes do not have the most fleshed out personalities, but they do have a lot of personalities brimming off the screen, thanks to how well they're animated, conveyed. You know, I mean, they're short stories, yes, but you get the premise of the stories, so you know who you should be rooting for, or not. More often than not, you're rooting for Bugs Bunny, because he's been taking advantage of it first, so basically the story is about him getting vengeance and all that. Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote... Well...
Depends on who's directing the short. If it's Chuck Jones, yeah, Chuck Jones always said that he always made sure that Bugs Bunny's just minding his own business and it's somebody else who's bothering him. However, when it was Bob Clampett directing Bugs Bunny, it was a whole different story. He made Bob Clampett's Bugs Bunny was quite more of a dick.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
So it depends, Jova. In fact, this actually also applies to the new Looney Tunes shorts. This is that some of them do the Chuck Jones thing, but there is actually a couple that use. For example, remember the vulture that goes whoa, 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 whoa.
Yes.
They actually did make a short involving that character, and yeah, it's pretty much an homage to the original short that was directed by Bob Clamp. But then Bugs Bunny bothers that vulture just to have fun, just like in the original short. So they do give you both sides of Bugs Bunny, not just Chuck Jones's Bugs Bunny. So it's nice to see that the new series really understood how the original shorts worked.
Come on, have you seen any Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote shorts of that era yet?
I have, yes. They're all really good. Like, the new shorts are very, very good. It's the best Looney Tunes has been in so long. It's not even funny.
But anyway, I go back to my point, though. It's like, well, with Looney Tunes, yes, there's not much to them, but there's still a lot of character to glean off of them. I'd say the best examples are the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote shorts. More often than not, the two main leads are relatively silent. Oh, sure, they can speak, but they don't really say a lot, but you get a lot of character. And like Chuck Jones himself said, more often than not, the sympathy remains with what is supposed to be the bad guy, the coyote, because of how persistent he is, yet how much he suffers there. I compare this...
Chuck Jones specifically said that they had specific rules when they were making a Roadrunner. First one, the Roadrunner never hurts the coyote, at least directly.
But yeah, I compare this.
The interesting thing is that, remember, all of the Roadrunner shorts until the very later ones from the '60s were all directed by Chuck Jones with Michael Maltese co-writing. However, the new directors for the new shorts, they actually decided to mix it up a notch and actually have, look, what if Bob Clampett directed a Roadrunner short? Just for Just for the sake of
Interesting.
Variety.
just for the sake of not having, because Chuck Jones was pretty much the only one that handled the Roadrunner back in the Golden Age. However, my guess is some of the directors were like, okay, but what if Bob Clamstead directed one of, just. So I actually appreciate the fact that they were willing to experiment while still knowing what they're doing.
That is neat. Anyway, let me go back to my original point, though. I compare this to the Looney Tunes because whereas the Looney Tunes, despite having so little to work with and so little time, can still have a lot of character, here, yes, I get that this is shorter than the average Gears of War game, but even Gears... Okay, compare Gears 1 to Gears 3. Gears 1 can feel quite shorter compared to, its later successors, which had bigger budgets to work with. But it still did what it could with those. This does not feel like it's doing all it could. Again, now in a moment like this, if I care about the characters, yes, I'm more invested in it. But I don't care about the characters because, well, first off, this is a prequel without any sense of stakes whatsoever. And two, they didn't even do a well job fleshing out the characters that we already do know. Like, Baird, okay, sure, Baird is Baird, sure, so that's fine. But Cole, well, how should I put it like this? He's Cole, but he's Cole in the sense of, like, if he was written by somebody who read, like, a description of Cole, but didn't know him head to toe, sort of Cole.
I disagree with what Pedro described it in some of the previous games, in saying, and will not say that he's on tranquilizers, because when he actually gets to speak and says the banter, he seemed to be pretty on spot. The problem is that he's not given that much to say in general.
There you go.
Yeah.
Freaking
Jesus.
berserkers.
And let's see, and Sophie is literally just a mouthpiece for following the rules, and Paduk is, oh, I'm the rebel who...
The mysterious one.
Alright, if I remember correctly, we're about to finish Paduk's testimony.
And I feel like we have not really learned... And yet I feel like we haven't really learned anything worth learning from his testimony.
Those Korogo.
Again, there's potential with these characters, but they do so little with them when they could easily do more. Like, okay, forget about worrying if it's obvious or whatnot.
Alright, cutscene.
Okay.
Private Augustus Cole.
I know, right? Thank you.
Listen up. All we gotta do is
Can we please move?
I have to reiterate, do we
before
really have time to do this?
Okay, some of our men are literally being killed now.
Stop! You're still on trial.
Considering how biased they are, probably would have done something like that. Oh, he has a custom pistol.
Okay, I think we proved our innocence enough now.
No, sorry, not enough.
Nope, sorry, still on trial.
I assume you actually listened to your crash ball from time to time.
Crash ball. You're not a fan.
Pretend war? No.
What?
He's
Flashball.
No. Like, what was it, the line that he said? Pretend war? No. What does that mean?
That's like.
He's implying that the sport that Cole plays is just a fake attempt
I know
at
that
war.
what Fresh Ball is, but...
No. I'm talking about what he said. He's implying that, oh, the sport you play is a mockery of what actual war is.
Oh, so it's kind of like the general in South Park, the South Park movie, when Chef asks about the Emancipation Act, he says, I don't listen to hip-hop.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically,
Jesus.
It's, again, they go out of their way to make the Colonel an asshole. Specifically so you can hate him just like the characters.
I mean, I don't need to, like, just his appearance is enough. He reminds me of that guy from... Go.
Alright, everybody. In the next part, we finish Cole's testimony. Yes, in
what?
one part.
Well, we start and finish Cold Testimony, so
Yeah,
just Korogo, I guess.
Hooray!
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to finish Cole's testimony in just one part. So,
Oh boy.
stay tuned for that.
See you then.
See ya.
Yeah.